The story you're about to hear is true. Some locations and names are not disclosed or have been changed to protect the innocent. This happened to me. What would you do? Let me ask you something. Have you ever been disobedient, defiant towards your parents or parent, especially when you were a teenager? How did that turn out? What was the results of that disobedience? I'm now in high school. I'm 6 feet 3 inches tall at the age of 15, and I'm outside of my home playing with two of my friends who are the same age as me. And we're just talking about things that normal teenage boys talk about, girls and sports and other things. But on this particular day, there was a day that could have possibly changed my life forever. My mother, who's now a single parent, she comes outside and tells me she wants me to come inside to do some chores. Basically, shelled peas. Now, for those of you that have no idea what shelling peas are, it's a big basket of fresh peas that once they're dried, you rake them out of the hull. And here I am between two sisters. I have an older sister and I have one behind me. And I'm in the middle of both the girls, and they're inside working. And my mother comes outside and I'm with my buddies hanging out just talking. And then she tells me to come inside and shell peas. Now, if you knew my mother, like most of the people in the neighborhood knew, she was a strong disciplinarian. And my friends who I was hanging out with, they had freedoms that I did not have. They could stay out later at night and go places in which I couldn't. When the sun was about to go down, I had to be at home. But now, I'm in high school. I'm 15 years old and I'm 6 feet 3 inches tall. And now I'm playing basketball in high school. And my mother, who normally had no shame, would always come out and she would definitely embarrass me in front of my friends if I seemed to be disobedient. She was one of those parents, as I was growing up as a child, she did not spare the rod. And we lived in public housing. So in the community, there were people that were known to get in trouble quite often. Or the police would visit the neighborhood at times. And when that happens, usually everyone comes out or people are peeking out of the window and trying to find out what's going on. Because the police draws an audience automatically. But on this day, this was a defining moment. A day where you're 6 feet 3 inches tall, you're half man and still child. And there was a moment where I'm towering over my mother, and she tells me to come inside the home and do chores. And I was defiant. And I told my mother, I'll be in a minute. And she said, no, get in here now. And then I said again, I'll be in a minute. I look over at my friends, and they're the same age as me. And they're just giggling and sniggling like they normally do, because they will always say things to me like, you better go home, you know your mom is gonna do this or that. And then they would get the last laugh, but I would always go home. But on this particular day, my mom told me to come in and shell peas with my sisters. And I stood up this time and I said, I'm not shelling peas. She looked at me with such shock, her eyes wide open, and she said, what? And I said it again. I'm not shelling peas with my chest stuck all out and my friends on the side with their smirks on their faces and just somewhat giggling. Boy, you talking about your friends can get you in trouble. But on this day, I stood up for the first time and said I was not shelling peas. And then suddenly, she punches me in the chest, hard. And when I bounced my chest back out and I stood up more like the Statue of Liberty and I said, I'm not shelling peas. And then she said to me, what, you think you are a man now? And I said, I'm not shelling peas. And then she goes back inside the house. And my buddy's just out there just giggling and sniggling and laughing and saying, you better get in the house. Your mom's going to whip your you-know-what. And my mom said, if you don't get in here, I'm calling the police. She calls the police. The police officers come. There were 2 of them. And then my sister, she calls my grandmother who was 2 blocks away. And then when the police officers come in and talking to my mom, and when the police comes, everybody in the neighborhood also comes. People are looking out the door, peeking out of the windows, besides the crowd gathering all around. And now I'm more embarrassed, and I've dug in now even deeper. And then my grandmother comes over, and I can hear her saying, Lord have mercy, don't take him, leave him. She was begging and pleading for my life. And then my mother said, no, take him, get him out of here. And now I feel even more ashamed with the crowd all around. And I'm inside the house. And now the officer's talking to me about doing my chores. Now I'm all upset, more frustrated. I run inside and get me a large paper sack and start packing me some clothes for them to take me out of here. Meanwhile, my grandmother's still pleading the case. Don't take him, don't take him. Now, this is my mother's mother, my maternal grandmother. And she's begging and pleading the police, and it seemed like it disturbed her more than it disturbed anyone else. And I'm all dug in, and I'm telling them, take me, I'm ready to go. This was a moment like no other. This was a defining moment that I felt that I was taking a stance to no longer be disciplined in such a way. But then again, maybe I handled that wrong. Because I had friends all around me, those in the neighborhood that was there watching. A lot of these people could do things that I couldn't. And here I am, 15 years old, 6 feet 3 inches tall, taller than most kids my age, even adults, and still being treated like a child. Because my mother was a firm, strong disciplinarian. And then I remember the officer telling my mother, I think by our presence of being here, I think he's learned this lesson. And when I heard him say that, I said, no, take me. I'm ready to go. Get me out of here. Now, if the officer was to take me, he would take me to a place called Green Oaks. It's more of a detention center. It's a place where kids go that's pending to go to a secure facility, more your delinquent kids or kids that are out of control or going to before the court. And I told them to take me, I'm ready to go. So the question is, what would you do? Here you are a teenager. And here you have a single parent who's doing the best she can and raising her kids and protecting her kids in an environment that in many would consider to be harsh. What would you do? Would you apologize, suck it up, go beyond the embarrassment of other people looking and being there watching and hearing? Or would you be willing to go with the police officers to Green Oaks, to a secure detention center? What would you do? I told that officer I'm ready to go. Take me out of here. I had me a large paper sack with some of my personal clothing in it and take me. But you know what happened? They didn't take me. They left me. And later that day, when all tempers had calmed, I did shell peas. And I've shared this story with many other kids because what if the police officers would have taken me to a secure facility, surrounded me around kids that's considered high risk when I am a low risk child, and possibly that could have changed my life forever. Put me in a situation where I might have to defend myself, and who knows what else I might would have learned. Then I might have developed that I don't give a hoot attitude, and everything spiraled down from there. Not ever to be able to fulfill my goals and dreams in life. Not ever becoming a basketball player and playing on the large stages. Not ever to becoming a police officer myself. Because the decisions that we make can have life-altering consequences. And I often look back on that. And those same two friends of mine that was outside witnessing what was going on when it first started with my mother, those same two guys ended up incarcerated. When I was in college, I heard about one of the friends went to Angola State Penitentiary for rape. And then the other friend, he was in the parish jail for almost 2 years on a murder charge. He eventually got off, but still was in jail for quite some time pending his trial process because he was with people in the community that was known criminals. But the thing is, too, you can see how the people we associate with can lead us down a path of destruction. And the people that have our best interests at heart, like our parents, who's working hard, like my mother working 2 jobs to support her kids, and trying her best to make certain that we don't fall down the trap that she's seen so many people go down. And that's why she was firm and a strong disciplinarian to her children, because she had our best interests at heart. But when you're a child, you can't see that. It comes a point as you become an adolescent where we start to want to rebel a little more. And then it comes to a point where we become defiant. Not everyone, but a lot of us do and did. So for any of you kids listening out there, let this be a warning to you. Obey your parents, because the decision that you make could be the wrong decision and send you on a path that you don't want to go. Send you on a path that I've seen so many take by being defiant. Because that defiance doesn't necessarily have to just stay at the home. It can spill over into school, into the workforce, and other relationships. So, I highly encourage all of you, do the right thing. Obey your parents or parent. Obey your grandparent. Obey your school teacher. Obey your employer. And I thank my Creator for saving me on this journey, in which I've seen so many people take the wrong path by just being defiant, being disobedient, and going down a path that none of us want to go. Now, by me saying all of this, there are many of you listening to this right now. You're not going to heed this warning. You're going to be disobedient, and you're going to live the experience like 2 of my friends did when you don't have to. And it's easy to even say, I'm sorry, forgive me. Because that day could have been a day that changed my life forever and not for the better. That could be the beginning of my downcline and downfall by being disobedient and taking me in an avenue and putting me in an atmosphere that I was not wanting to be at. And that could have ignited a start of negativity into my life and blaming any and everybody else for my own bad behavior. As you listen to this story, there are many of you listening right now that have similar experiences by being defiant, being disobedient, and you were not rescued in the sense in which I was, instead had a positive outcome and a good life. So what can you tell your children, your friends, your family, your loved ones, and those strangers that you will eventually encounter when it comes to kids being disobedient, when it comes to kids making wrong choices, when it comes to kids following their friends' destiny and not their own, when it comes to kids not listening to their parents? Please, everyone, listen to those that have your best interests at heart. Listen to your employer. Listen to your teacher. But don't listen to negative, bad friends. Don't stand up and show out in front of your friends. And occasionally you will encounter some parents that are not good parents, that'll tell you to do things that are not right, that'll tell you to do things that may be criminal. If you have or encounter those type of people needs to be reported, because they are trying to tell you to do something that is against the law. But other than that, if your parents are telling you to do what is right, please obey.